If you ever thought an old penny sitting in your pocket change or coin jar could be worth a life-changing amount of money, then you need to stop scrolling right now and pay attention, because the 1951 Sweet Penny, a coin with just a face value of 1 cent, has shocked collectors and auction houses by being worth an unbelievable $19 million due to rare and fascinating errors, striking anomalies, and historical significance that very few coins can match. And in this video, we're diving deep into the incredible story, the secrets, and the numismatic mysteries that make this specific 1951's Lincoln Wheat Cent not just another penny, but a legend in the coin collecting world that has taken the market by storm and left experts scrambling to understand how one humble copper coin from the San Francisco Mint could carry such immense value. So make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel for more unbelievable coin discoveries, and stay tuned to the very end, because we're uncovering every detail, every error, every flaw, and every reason this little copper relic might just be hiding in your own collection without you even realizing the life-changing value it holds. Starting with the history behind the coin's production at the U.S. Mint in San Francisco in 1951, a time when post-war America was booming, coin production was increasing, and minting technologies were advancing but still prone to inconsistencies, leading to some fascinating minting mistakes that would slip past inspection unnoticed. And in the case of the 1951's penny, these mistakes are what make it a golden opportunity for collectors, because while hundreds of millions were minted, only a tiny handful contained the rare traits that push the value from pocket change to multi-million-dollar status. And the types of errors found on these 1951's cents range from double dies, both obverse and reverse, to repunched mint marks, broad strikes, die clashes, off-center strikes, and even planchet composition anomalies, with some examples showing signs of being struck on foreign planchets, such as the silver-colored ones accidentally minted on dime stock, or those that weigh significantly less or more than the standard 3.11 grams, which instantly raises red flags for graders and collectors. And then there are the eye-popping double die errors where Abraham Lincoln's features appear shadowed or doubled, most notably in his profile, Liberty, the date, and the motto "In God We Trust," and even slight doubling can send value soaring depending on the clarity, rarity, and state of preservation. And speaking of preservation, coins that have survived in MS-67 or higher grades, especially those graded by PCGS or NGC with designations like Full Red, RD, are in extremely short supply, making them the holy grail for collectors and auction houses alike. And some 1951's wheat pennies in this pristine state, with strong strikes and blazing red luster, have commanded bids far beyond their expected worth. But what truly launched the coin into fame was one unique specimen discovered during an estate auction in Southern California, where the coin had been sitting in a binder untouched for decades, and upon closer inspection by experts, it was found to exhibit a combination of multiple high-value traits: a double die obverse, a repunched mint mark, an off-metal planchet, and incredibly, an off-center strike, all in one coin. A convergence of minting accidents that made this particular 1951's penny utterly unique in the world, and the rarity combined with the near-perfect condition and historical intrigue caused it to ignite a bidding war at a major numismatic auction, eventually selling for a record-breaking $19 million to a private collector whose identity remains unknown, setting a benchmark in the hobby and turning heads across the entire coin-collecting community. And since then, demand for 1951's pennies with any sort of unusual characteristic has skyrocketed, with collectors scouring coin rolls, estate sales, flea markets, and online listings hoping to strike gold with their own rare variant. But it's not just about the big money auctions. There's also the deep historical allure, as the 1951's penny represents a period of transition and growth in American minting history, where mass production met human oversight, and small variations were bound to occur, which today serve as treasures for those who understand their significance. And one of the most fascinating aspects is how these errors can go unnoticed to the untrained eye, meaning thousands of people could be holding valuable versions of the 1951's wheat penny without ever realizing it, especially if they don't know to look for the subtle signs like a shifted mint mark, unusual texture, warped rim, missing design elements, or slight doubling in the inscriptions. And professional graders have emphasized the importance of using magnification, weighing the coin precisely, checking for metal composition using a sigma tester, and reviewing under different light angles to identify luster breaks that signal anomalies. And even a simple magnifying glass can reveal clues that distinguish a $1,000,000 coin from a common cent. And that's why knowledge is power in the world of numismatics, because armed with information, anyone can potentially discover a life-altering treasure hidden in plain sight. And the story of the 1951's wheat penny proves this beyond a doubt, showing that something as ordinary as a copper cent can carry extraordinary value thanks to history, rarity, and a few tiny imperfections made over 70 years ago. And it doesn't end with just one example. The U.S. Mint has long been known for inadvertently creating rarities that turn everyday objects into priceless artifacts. And the 1951's is now part of that elite group alongside the 1909's VDB, 1955 double die, and 1943 copper penny, each of which has its own legacy. But the 1951's stands out because of how recent its explosion in value is, proving that discoveries are still being made today and coins are still being reevaluated under new understanding and technologies, which means the next $1,000,000 penny could still be out there, waiting in someone's change jar, binder, drawer, or even loose in the carpet under a couch. And the importance of proper storage and grading can't be overstated either, as many valuable coins lose potential due to environmental damage, corrosion, or improper cleaning. So if you think you've got an old wheat penny, and especially a 1951's, don't rush to clean it or handle it too much. Instead, protect it, research it, and if it shows any signs of error, submit it to a reputable grading service, because you could be sitting on a coin worth more than a luxury home, a sports car, or even an early retirement. And as the demand for rare U.S. coins continues to climb with international interest and younger collectors entering the field thanks to online platforms and viral stories like this one, the chances of your 1951's penny being worth far more than you expect is growing by the day. And if you've made it this far into the video, it means you're serious about unlocking the secrets of valuable coins. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories, facts, and tips on rare coins. And keep checking your change, because the next 1951's wheat penny worth $19 million might just be in your pocket right now. Next 1952 wheat penny. Are you holding on to a tiny copper coin that might secretly be worth $1 million? Imagine stumbling across an old jar of change or digging through a forgotten drawer, only to find a humble-looking wheat penny dated 1952 with a small D mint mark under the date. Not knowing that this single 1952 D wheat penny from the Denver Mint could be one of the rarest and most valuable coins in American numismatic history, with an astounding estimated face value of $1 million due to its rarity, minting errors, historical context, condition, collector demand, and a host of mysterious factors that drive its incredible price in auctions and among private collectors. And while most people see a simple penny, true coin enthusiasts and experts understand that this 1952 D coin represents more than just 1 cent. It's a piece of living history, a tangible relic from the post-World War II economic boom, a time when the United States was shifting rapidly into modernity, and every minted coin had a story to tell. And in the case of this specific 1952 D wheat penny, there are layered mysteries that set it apart, starting from minting anomalies such as off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, doubled dies, clipped planchets, lamination errors, and even extremely rare transitional planchet mix-ups, which could have resulted in some 1952 pennies being struck on leftover bronze planchets instead of the expected copper zinc alloy. And imagine the shock on a grader's face when identifying such a coin in near mint red condition with full wheat lines and sharp, unblemished details, revealing Lincoln's iconic profile in high relief with virtually no wear, suggesting it was possibly pulled from circulation early or never circulated at all, adding to the extreme desirability of the specimen, especially if its provenance is connected to notable collectors or historic collections like the Norweb or Eliasberg collections, which enhances perceived value many-fold. And when examining coins like this, especially the 1952 penny, numismatists consider strike quality, planchet flaws, luster, patina, and any deviations from the standard minting process, with a particular focus on double die obverse (DDO) errors, especially ones where the doubling affects the date, liberty, or "In God We Trust" inscriptions, which fetch staggering premiums at auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. And reports have surfaced of extremely crisp 1952 wheat pennies, with such anomalies going for hundreds of thousands, and in exceptional cases reaching the jaw-dropping $1,000,000 benchmark when other factors, like full red coloration and pristine surfaces, align perfectly, and beyond mint errors. What drives collectors crazy about this year and mint mark combination is the comparative scarcity of high-grade examples, with only a few known MS67 red specimens certified by PCGS or NGC, meaning the population is limited and demand always outpaces supply, especially as new generations of collectors enter the hobby, seeking both historical treasures and investment-grade coins. And it's not just about what's visible to the naked eye either. Under microscopic analysis, numismatists have revealed minor but crucial imperfections in the 1952 penny series, such as die chips in Lincoln's hair, subtle overpolishing that weakens some lettering, and rare instances where the D mint mark appears to have been hand-punched twice at slightly differing angles, creating a visually striking and highly coveted RPM or repunched mint mark variety, and these varieties, cataloged under reference guides like the Cherry Picker's Guide, are the holy grail for sharp-eyed collectors at coin shows or estate sales, always hunting for the elusive $1,000,000 penny hiding in plain sight among otherwise mundane pocket change. And let's not forget the impact of historical timing on value. The early 1950s were a pivotal moment in U.S. history, with the Korean War, Cold War tensions, economic expansion, and technological innovation changing the American landscape, and coins from this era carry not only intrinsic metal value or numismatic worth, but also deep emotional and cultural weight as artifacts of a powerful and transitional time, making them all the more attractive to historians, investors, and museums. And add to that the human stories connected with these coins, tales of grandparents who saved these pennies in old tins, young collectors who stumbled upon them in family albums, or small-town auctioneers who discovered rare examples tucked away in forgotten drawers. Every 1952 wheat penny has a chance to be more than just currency. It can be a story, a legacy, and a literal fortune, especially in today's market where social media, YouTube, and numismatic influencers are amplifying awareness around coin collecting, turning once overlooked wheat pennies into overnight sensations. And you wouldn't believe how many people have unknowingly spent or discarded these $1,000,000 coins simply due to a lack of awareness. So now is the time more than ever to inspect your change, visit local coin shops, attend estate sales, and dive deep into that piggy bank from your childhood, because the next great coin discovery could be resting in your palm. And imagine how one small penny could change your entire financial future, opening doors to retirement, education funds, dream vacations, or legacy investments, all because you were one of the few who understood the incredible worth hidden behind a simple demarked copper coin from 1952. And with grading services, online marketplaces, and digital research tools now easily accessible, there's no better time to evaluate and authenticate your coins. because the right 1952 D-Wheat penny, especially with confirmed errors and in top condition, could realistically be appraised at over $1 million by professional graders, or spark a bidding war among elite collectors looking to complete their registry sets or secure an unmatched piece of numismatic history. And as coin collecting continues to evolve from a niche hobby into a high-stakes investment market, the stories of astonishing finds like the 1952 D-Wheat penny will only grow in popularity, inspiring new generations to pick up magnifying glasses and dive into the fascinating, rewarding, and potentially life-changing world of rare coin hunting. So if you want more amazing stories, hidden treasures, and coin secrets that could change your life forever, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and keep watching, because your $1 million discovery could be just one coin away. Next, 1958 D-Wheat penny. The jaw-dropping episode where we dive deep into the hidden treasures of American coinage, the most unexpected riches buried in the pockets of everyday change. And today we're uncovering a numismatic legend that has stunned collectors, auction houses, and historians alike. The 1958 D-Wheat penny that has astonishingly fetched $2 million due to its errors, mistakes, and numismatic peculiarities that elevate its worth far beyond its humble face value. So if you're holding on to a few wheat pennies or sifting through jars of old coins at home or even rummaging through estate sales and garage boxes, this is the moment you'll want to pause everything, because this story is about more than a coin. It's about history, rarity, minting anomalies, and the incredible possibility that something so small, so unassuming, so easily overlooked can command an astronomical price that changes lives forever. And the 1958 D-Wheat penny is a testament to that, a copper-clad enigma that surfaced not just from the mints of Denver, but emerged from a perfect storm of human error, mechanical missteps, transitional moments in coin production, and the quirks of a minting process that, even in its precision-driven nature, could not completely evade imperfection. And it is exactly those imperfections that transform a regular piece of currency into an ultra-rare, investment-grade, historically significant artifact. Now let's take a microscopic look at the very characteristics and stories that led the 1958 D-Wheat penny to soar in value beyond imagination, starting with the obvious yet elusive category of double die errors, a numismatic phenomenon that sends shockwaves through collector communities every time one is found. And while most known double die wheat pennies are traced back to 1955 and 1972, the rare 1958 D double die obverse penny is one of the lesser-known holy grails in the coin collecting world, with a doubling so severe on the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," that under magnification the lettering appears as though it were echoed in metal, a bold, unmistakable sign of a misaligned hubbing process where the die was struck multiple times out of sync during the master die creation. And since only a microscopic handful were produced, with even fewer escaping the watchful eyes of mint inspectors, this error alone skyrockets its scarcity, and therefore its value. And while many people assume such an error must be confined to the Philadelphia Mint, Denver's 1958 issue managed to slip a few double die obverse varieties into circulation. But that's just scratching the surface, because in addition to the dramatic double die, the 1958 D penny has shown up in auction houses and private collections with a multitude of secondary errors that only compound its intrigue, including off-center strikes which occur when the planchet, the blank piece of metal meant to become a coin, is not perfectly seated in the coin press and results in a misaligned design that often reveals a crescent moon of blank space. And the degree of off-centering, especially when the date and mint mark are still fully visible, is a huge factor in value, making these coins a magnet for elite collectors who pay premiums for errors that are both obvious and aesthetically interesting. But it doesn't end there, because the 1958 D penny has also been found with repunched mint marks, a type of error known as RPM, which occurred when the D mint mark was manually punched into the die. multiple times, resulting in slight overlaps or shadows around the mint mark visible under magnification. And while many RPMs are subtle, a few in the 1958D series are so pronounced that even amateur collectors can spot them, further increasing the desirability of these pieces, especially when combined with other errors like die cracks, which are raised lines that form on coins due to breaks in the die from stress or overuse, and these lines can create fascinating patterns across the coin's surface, from Lincoln's forehead down to the rim, or even slicing through letters or the wheat stalks on the reverse, giving the coin an almost artistic uniqueness that cannot be replicated. Now imagine if a coin featured multiple errors, say, a double die obverse, repunched mint mark, and a die crack running across the reverse, all in one. Such a coin would be a one-of-a-kind piece, the kind that collectors drool over, and that auction houses promote with flair, because their singular nature can command prices well into 6 or 7 figures depending on eye appeal, provenance, and condition. And speaking of condition, the state of preservation is another driving force behind value, because most wheat pennies that circulated from 1909 through 1958 were used heavily in commerce, passed from hand to hand, dropped, scratched, and worn to near unrecognizability. So to find a 1958D penny with errors in mint state, especially in grades like MS65, MS66, or the near impossible MS67 and above, is like finding a perfectly preserved dinosaur fossil complete with skin impressions and teeth intact. And those coins in such high grades, with clean fields, full details, and intense luster, are the ones that reach the $1 million mark, especially when authenticated and graded by top-tier third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC, who have verified the error and ensured authenticity. Because the value plummets if a coin cannot be authenticated or is suspected to be altered, but once sealed in a tamper-proof holder and labeled as a genuine high-grade 1958D error penny, the bidding wars begin, with private collectors, hedge funds, and even museums entering the fray. And then there's the mystery of the low population, meaning how few examples are known to exist, because rarity is king in the world of coin collecting, and the lower the population, especially of error coins, the higher the value climbs. And since only a scant number of 1958D error pennies have ever been verified and listed in auction archives, the value multiplies exponentially every time a new specimen surfaces, driving up prices across the board and fueling a frenzy among numismatists who scour old rolls, uncirculated mint sets, and even old jars handed down through generations in hopes of stumbling upon the next $1 million discovery. And this is precisely what happened in a legendary case where a collector at a local estate sale bought a handful of wheat pennies for just a few dollars, only to later identify one as a 1958D double die obverse with a sharp RPM and minimal circulation wear, leading to professional grading and ultimately a record-breaking auction result that stunned even the most seasoned coin experts and reaffirmed the 1958D penny's place as a modern legend in U.S. numismatics. And there are even rumors of coins still unaccounted for, hiding in plain sight in private collections, forgotten drawers, or overlooked dealer bins at coin shows, just waiting for the right eye to discover them. And part of what makes the 1958D story so fascinating is the historical context as well, with the wheat penny series ending just 1 year later in 1959, marking the end of an era and making the final issues, particularly those with errors, even more desirable, as collectors often seek to complete date and mint mark sets, and will pay a premium for the final year variants, especially those with compelling error pedigrees. And so the 1958D penny sits at a confluence of historical significance, rarity, error intensity, and collector demand, creating the perfect storm for skyrocketing value and giving hope to treasure hunters everywhere that their next lucky find might not just be a piece of copper, but a multi-million-dollar windfall. And if you're still watching and fascinated by the incredible potential of what lies hidden in common coinage, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more thrilling discoveries, and share this story with your friends and fellow collectors because you never know who might be sitting on the next great American coin fortune. Next, 1951 wheat penny. Today we are peeling back the layers of a coin so common in appearance yet so unbelievably valuable in the eyes of experts, appraisers, and high-stakes coin auction houses that it defies belief. The 1951 Lincoln wheat penny, a coin originally minted with a face value of just 1 cent and now commanding a staggering market price of $200,000, yes, $0.2 million. Because of a unique combination of historical context, minting anomalies, rare errors, and extreme demand that has driven collectors across the globe into a frenzy and led to fierce bidding wars at some of the most prestigious numismatic events ever held. And if you're the kind of person who has always dismissed those old wheat pennies sitting in your drawers or jammed in the corners of old piggy banks, this is the one story that might make you turn your entire home upside down, because the 1951 wheat penny is not just a coin. It's a living artifact loaded with rich backstory, secret varieties, and minting mistakes that occurred during a crucial time in the U.S. mint's history, all of which culminated into producing a perfect storm of rarity, value, and desirability that has not only shaken up price guides and auction estimates, but also rewritten what we thought we knew about post-war U.S. coinage and the precision, or lack thereof, that went into producing these small copper marvels. And the truth is, the journey of the 1951 penny starts long before the coin was even struck, beginning with the geopolitical and economic climate of post-World War II America, a time when the country was rapidly industrializing, retooling its minting facilities to meet the growing demand for coinage amidst a booming economy, which led to heightened pressures on the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, the three production giants tasked with stamping millions upon millions of coins with speed, consistency, and accuracy, but such speed often came at the cost of quality control, and that is precisely where the seeds were planted for the incredible errors that would later turn certain examples of the 1951 wheat penny into numismatic treasures unlike any others. And while most 1951 pennies are worth mere cents even today, specific error-laden pieces have skyrocketed in value, capturing headlines and captivating the community due to several extraordinary and highly specific issues such as double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, lamination errors, planchet issues, and even improperly mixed alloy compositions that give these coins their rare and highly desirable quirks. And let's start by examining one of the most sought-after errors, the double die obverse, a phenomenon that occurs when the die used to strike the coin was improperly engraved or misaligned during the die hubbing process, resulting in visible doubling of key design elements like the date, the phrase "I in God we trust," liberty, or even Lincoln's profile itself. And in the case of the 1951 doubled die error, the doubling is subtle yet clear enough to catch with a loupe or high-resolution scan, creating an instantly recognizable and striking visual defect that's become a goldmine for those lucky enough to spot it. And while double dies are known in earlier and more famous examples like the 1955 penny, the 1951 version is rarer in quantity and in pristine condition. These coins have fetched up to $200,000 depending on the strike sharpness, luster, and degree of doubling visible, especially when coupled with other mint state indicators like full wheat stalks on the reverse and minimal contact marks. And then we move to another mind-blowing category, off-center strikes, where the coin is stamped misaligned with a blank planchet, often leaving portions of the design cut off or incomplete. And in some rare 1951 pennies, we see 10% to 50% off-center errors that not only distort the coin's appearance, but also make each example a one-of-a-kind piece, especially when the date and mint mark are still visible, which is a rare combination that dramatically increases value and appeal among collectors who seek both uniqueness and identifying information. And then, there's the fascinating world of repunched mint marks, known among experts as RPMs, which were common in the era due to the manual process of punching mint marks into the dies before the process became automated in later decades. And in the case of the 1951 pennies, especially the 1951D and 1951S varieties, multiple repunched mint marks have been discovered where the D or S appears to have been stamped more than once at a slightly different angle or position, creating a shadow-like duplication effect that's unmistakable to the trained eye. And when certified by leading grading services like PCGS or NGC, these RPM varieties command massive premiums over standard examples, especially in uncirculated or mint-state grades where the RPM is crisp, unblemished, and highly visible, often pushing the value well into the tens of thousands, and in some cases helping the coin cross that magical $$200,000 valuation when combined with other desirable characteristics such as vibrant red coloration, minimal bag marks, and full strike details. And speaking of coloration, another factor that significantly boosts the value of a 1951 penny is its surface color and toning, with coins graded as RD or full red, indicating that the original mint luster has been perfectly preserved, commanding exponentially higher prices than those graded as BN for brown or RB for red-brown. And a 1951 wheat penny in MS67 RD with an error such as a double die or RPM is the exact kind of coin that crosses into the $$200,000 territory, especially when sold at top-tier auctions such as Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, where the combination of elite certification, rarity of error, and visual appeal can create bidding wars that drive prices to unforeseen heights. And we haven't even touched yet on another subtle but significant defect: planchet flaws and lamination errors, both of which result from the improper preparation or mixing of the copper alloy used to mint pennies during this era, leading to coins with peeling surfaces, rough textures, or uneven coloration, all of which are carefully cataloged and documented by advanced collectors and grading professionals. And a lamination error across Lincoln's face, or the reverse wheat stalks, can take a coin from a couple dollars to several thousand, depending on size, placement, and severity of the flaw. And when such an error combines with something like a misaligned die or repunched mint mark, we enter the realm of mega rarity, and the few examples known with multi-error combinations, such as a 1951D penny with an RPM, a lamination error, and full red color in MS66 or MS67 condition, are among the most prized coins in the Lincoln Cent series, having fetched values exceeding $150,000 and setting records for mid-century U.S. coinage. And if you thought that was the extent of the 1951 penny's mystique, think again, because another layer of intrigue comes from transitional planchet errors, where a small number of 1951 pennies were mistakenly struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943 or foreign coin blanks intended for other denominations, and while extremely rare, a few 1951 pennies struck on incorrect planchets have surfaced over the years, including one struck on a silver-colored planchet meant for another country's coinage, creating a visual anomaly that's immediately recognizable and infinitely valuable, especially when authenticated by metallurgical testing and certified by leading coin authorities. And these foreign planchet strikes represent the very apex of value within this coin year, having commanded over $200,000 due to their unique origins, stunning appearance, and historical backstory tied to production oversights at the U.S. Mint. And let's not forget the overall scarcity of high-grade examples, because although millions of 1951 pennies were struck, the vast majority entered circulation immediately, were heavily worn, and now exist only in heavily damaged or oxidized condition. So finding a 1951 penny in pristine mint state condition with a significant error is like finding a needle in a haystack. Next, 1944 wheat penny. The most thrilling corner of numismatic discovery, where even the smallest coin can hold a fortune beyond your wildest imagination. And today we're diving into the incredible tale of the 1944 wheat penny, a seemingly ordinary 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors and experts around the world, with auction prices soaring as high as $3 million, thanks to a perfect storm of minting errors, historical anomalies, and astonishing preservation conditions that turned this modest piece of copper into a legendary treasure. So grab your magnifying glasses and hold tight as we explore the fascinating twists and turns behind why the 1944 wheat penny has become one of the most talked about and valuable coins in American history, beginning with the backdrop of its mintage year during the height of World War II, when the United States Mint was grappling with metal shortages, shifting production priorities, and an ever-growing demand for coinage to support the bustling wartime economy, all while experimenting with materials like steel, zinc, and copper to strike coins that could meet the nation's needs. And amidst this chaos, a number of highly unusual and error-prone pennies were accidentally created, some of which would go on to become rarities of mythic status, particularly the elusive 1944 steel penny, struck when leftover steel planchets from the 1943 wartime emergency coinage were mistakenly used instead of the standard copper alloy, creating a hybrid anomaly that escaped quality control and entered circulation unnoticed, making it one of the rarest and most sought-after pieces by collectors, with known examples today fetching astronomical prices whenever they surface. But beyond the steel planchet error lies an even broader field of possibilities and minting mistakes that make the 1944 wheat penny a minefield of potential value, from double die obverse and reverses to off-center strikes, repunchment marks, lamination cracks, die breaks, and even transitional errors where coins were struck on planchets intended for foreign coins or older issues. And with the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints all producing wheat pennies in 1944, the variations multiply, creating a complex web of diagnostics that specialists pore over to authenticate and evaluate each rare specimen. And among these, perhaps the most sensational discovery was the 1944 steel penny, with only a couple dozen known examples in existence, each carrying the potential to change lives due to their rarity and historical importance. But even the regular 1944 copper pennies can be worth tens of thousands when combined with the right types of errors, pristine mint state preservation, and unique characteristics like a strong strike, full wheat lines, or brilliant red color grading by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. And as stories of these ultra-valuable coins began to spread across the collecting community, interest in the 1944 wheat penny exploded, leading to thousands of collectors combing through their change jars, inheritance collections, and attic stashes in hopes of finding that one magical penny that might hold an overlooked flaw or a fluke of fate from over 80 years ago. And the attention doesn't stop there, because even the documentation and history behind individual specimens add to their allure, with provenance playing a significant role in auction prices, where a 1944 penny with a verified lineage or connection to early collectors or major finds can command a premium, especially when sold through major auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. And when such a coin comes to market with impeccable credentials, the bidding wars can become intense, driving values far beyond initial estimates, particularly when two or more high-net-worth individuals are competing for what may be one of the last opportunities to own such a legendary item. And in those moments, the $3 million valuation becomes not just a number, but a reflection of intense passion, historical reverence, and competitive prestige that defines elite numismatic collecting. And diving even deeper into the types of errors that can enhance the 1944 wheat penny's value, one must understand how die variety classification works, such as those identified by the Kanika and Wechsler databases, which catalog well-documented doubled dies, RPMs, repunchment marks, and other die states, and among these, certain doubled die obverse from the 1944D or 1944S mint are especially prized for their dramatic doubling on the date, Liberty inscription, or Lincoln's profile, with some examples showing split serifs, notches, and separation lines that are visible to the naked eye or under modest magnification, adding significant premiums to their market value. And then, there are coins struck on foreign planchets, such as the famed 1944 wheat pennies struck on silver 2.6-gram planchets intended for Mexican 5 centavos coins, which resulted in a handful of ultralight pennies that passed through unnoticed due to their identical diameter, but whose different metallic composition creates a higher pitch sound and unique physical properties when examined by experts, making them standout rarities once discovered. And the phenomenon of transitional errors adds even more spice to the mix, as coins may be struck with leftover planchets or even misaligned dies from previous or upcoming minting years, creating combinations of date and metal that should not exist, such as 1944 pennies appearing in both copper and steel, or even examples where the reverse die was carried over from earlier years, creating minute inconsistencies that only the most trained eyes can catch, but which can add exponentially to a coin's numismatic and monetary worth. And then, there's the growing interest in pattern coins and test strikes from the era, with rumors and unconfirmed reports of 1,944 experimental strikes in various compositions, such as aluminum or brass, further fueling the mythos surrounding this legendary date. And although most of these examples remain undiscovered or debated within the numismatic community, the mere possibility of their existence keeps the hunt alive and encourages collectors to keep searching. And when you factor in the effects of long-term storage, environmental damage, chemical reactions, and circulation wear, you begin to appreciate how miraculous it is that any pristine 1944 era penny still exists, and how every known example represents not just a minting error, but a survivor against incredible odds. And for those lucky enough to possess one, the path to riches involves authentication, grading, certification, and often headline-grabbing sales through high-profile numismatic platforms, with detailed catalog descriptions outlining every microscopic detail that separates a $1 million coin from an ordinary cent. And in today's digital age, stories of such discoveries often go viral, inspiring even casual viewers to check their change for hidden fortune, and the popularity of coin hunting content on social media has only amplified the buzz, as creators and influencers share real-time finds, grading results, and coin show highlights that spark a new wave of enthusiasm for classic American coinage, especially iconic types like the wheat penny, which holds a special place in the hearts of collectors for its nostalgic design and rich historical context. With Victor D. Brenner's original 1909 portrait of Lincoln and the simple yet elegant wheat stalks on the reverse remaining timeless symbols of a bygone era, and as more people become aware of the staggering values attached to specific dates and errors like those found in the 1944 series, interest continues to rise, driving up demand, increasing prices, and making this one of the most dynamic segments of the hobby. And whether you're a seasoned collector, a casual enthusiast, or someone who just stumbled upon a curious-looking penny in your drawer, the story of the 1944 wheat penny proves that treasure can be hiding in plain sight, and that with patience, knowledge, and a little bit of luck, one small coin can change your life forever. So the next time you see a copper penny from 1944, take a closer look, examine it under a loupe, weigh it, test its magnetism, inspect the mint mark and date for any signs of doubling or abnormalities, and if you suspect it might be something special, don't hesitate to get it professionally appraised and graded, because you could be holding a piece of history worth more than a house, a car, or even a lifetime of savings. And with the coin market continuing to grow and new collectors entering the field every day. Next, 1953 D wheat penny. We dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, valuable errors, and hidden treasures that might be sitting unnoticed in your collection. And today we're unlocking the mystery and incredible value behind the 1953 D-Wheat penny, a coin that has shocked collectors and investors alike by selling for as much as $100,000. And the reasons behind this remarkable price lie not just in its age or historical context, but in a complex combination of minting errors, production quirks, rarity factors, and collector demand that together elevate this small copper coin into a true marvel of numismatics. And if you're holding on to a seemingly ordinary 1953 D-penny, you might just be clutching a fortune without even realizing it, because the story of this coin starts in the post-war era when the United States Mint was producing millions of pennies daily to support a growing economy, with the Denver Mint responsible for churning out a significant portion of the nation's coinage. And while most of the 1953 D Lincoln cents followed the standard specifications, 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc, weighing 3.11 grams, and measuring 19 millimeters in diameter, some examples emerged from the minting presses with unexpected deviations that would later become highly sought after by collectors. And among the most well-documented of these errors is the famous double die obverse, where the date 1953 and the inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" appear with significant doubling, creating a ghost-like shadow effect that is immediately noticeable under magnification and sometimes even with the naked eye. This doubling occurs when the die used to strike the coins receives a misaligned second impression from the hub, resulting in a doubled image that is then transferred onto every coin struck by that die. And what makes these double die examples from 1953 D especially rare is the limited number of such defective dies used before the mint caught the mistake and removed them from production. And collectors covet these coins for their visual uniqueness and the technical rarity of the error, pushing their value into the tens of thousands depending on condition and clarity of the doubling. But the doubling isn't the only factor adding immense value to certain 1953 D-Wheat pennies, because another class of error known as the repunched mint mark, or RPM, also contributes to elevated prices, in which the small d mint mark below the date was punched into the die more than once, slightly offset from the original mark, creating a visible overlapping D over D effect. And these repunched mint mark varieties occurred because, at that time, the mint marks were still applied manually to the working dies, leading to numerous instances of slight misalignment that are now cataloged and prized by error specialists. And some rare varieties show not just one repunch, but multiple overpunches that create a dramatic layered appearance. And since these RPM errors are far less common than the standard mint mark, their rarity again drives up the value, especially in high grades such as MS65 or higher. And then we have the off-center strike errors, where the coin was not properly centered during striking and ended up with a portion of its design missing, and depending on the degree of off-centering and how much of the date and mint mark remains visible, these can fetch thousands at auction. With more dramatic examples, say 50% off-center with clear date and mint mark, being far more valuable than minor misalignments. And then there's the broad strike error, where the coin is struck outside the collar that normally holds it in place, resulting in a larger, flatter coin with a slightly warped shape and missing rim detail. And when combined with visible date and mint mark, these broad strikes are also considered valuable minting anomalies, especially for 1953 D pennies, which don't commonly display this issue. And don't forget about die cracks, cuts, and die clashes where worn or damaged dies created unusual raised lines or blobs on the coin surface, or struck design elements from the reverse onto the obverse or vice versa due to misalignment between the dies. And these types of errors can significantly increase the numismatic appeal of a 1953 D penny because they are visually dramatic and tell a story about the minting process itself. And then there are transitional errors and planchet anomalies, though exceedingly rare for 1953, where coins were struck on leftover or wrong metal blanks, such as steel planchets from 1943 or silver dime planchets, and when such an error is discovered and authenticated, especially when it includes a full date and mint mark, it can be worth tens of thousands due to its extreme rarity and historical significance, and even beyond specific mint errors. Condition and eye appeal play a monumental role in determining a 1953 D penny's value, because a flawless coin graded MS67 read by PCGS or NGC, with full original luster, sharp strike, and no contact marks, is far more valuable than a circulated example, and the competition among collectors to secure top-grade examples of this date and mint mark can drive prices to astonishing levels, and auction records have proven this time and again, with certain high-grade error coins drawing intense bidding wars and final hammer prices in the five-figure range, and provenance also matters. If a 1953 D penny was once part of a renowned collection or appeared in a major numismatic publication, that pedigree can further increase desirability and value. And let's not overlook the psychological and emotional factors that influence coin collecting markets, where certain dates and mint marks develop cult-like followings among collectors due to their aesthetics, story, or perceived rarity, and the 1953 D wheat penny has certainly benefited from this phenomenon, especially as more collectors have entered the market in recent years, armed with information from the internet and social media, eager to hunt for undervalued gems and hidden treasures in pocket change, estate sales, and coin shows, and the 1953 DS legacy as a potential jackpot coin continues to grow as more error varieties are discovered, cataloged, and certified by leading grading services, and the accessibility of this coin, since millions were minted, means that the dream of finding a valuable error remains alive for average collectors and treasure hunters alike, and this accessibility, combined with the intrigue of rare errors, has driven huge interest and inflated values for top-tier examples. And while not every 1953 D penny is worth $100,000, the existence of just a few ultra-rare specimens pulls the entire market upward, with even minor errors commanding premiums and well-preserved examples finding homes in serious collections. And this ripple effect has caused a surge in submissions to grading companies, as owners hope to unlock the hidden potential in their humble-looking pennies, and the excitement doesn't stop there, because the thrill of discovering a high-value error in a roll of coins or an old jar at home continues to inspire new generations of collectors, fueling demand, increasing awareness, and elevating the status of coins like the 1953 D wheat penny far beyond their face value, turning them into miniature relics of history with stories to tell and fortunes to offer. And as long as the numismatic community continues to study, share, and search, coins like the 1953 D will hold their place not just as currency, but as iconic symbols of American minting history and the endless possibility that something small and copper-colored could be worth a life-changing sum. So make sure to check your change, inspect your old collections, and learn the signs of value, because the next legendary penny might be in your pocket right now. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more deep dives into the hidden treasures of the coin world that might just make you a fortune. Next, 1951 wheat penny. Now we deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where every small detail can turn pocket change into a life-changing fortune. And today we unravel the astonishing story behind the 1951 wheat penny, a humble coin with a face value of just 1 cent that has stunned collectors and numismatists by reaching a staggering value of over $500,000 at auctions, making headlines and drawing intense attention in the world of coin collecting, not just because of its age but primarily due to the breathtaking variety of mint errors, production anomalies, die issues, and unintentional mistakes that have turned this ordinary penny into one of the most talked about rarities in American numismatic history. And as we dig into the fine details that make this particular coin so special, You'll begin to understand why so many experts believe the 1951 wheat penny could be hiding in plain sight in old drawers, inherited collections, or forgotten rolls of coins, just waiting to change someone's life forever. So what makes the 1951 wheat penny such a big deal, and how could something minted in such vast quantities, nearly 284 million from Philadelphia alone, along with over 136 million from Denver and about 92 million from San Francisco, suddenly be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? Well, it all comes down to the strange, rare, and barely understood world of mint errors, and the unique production environment of the early 1950s U.S. mint operations, where small changes in procedure, pressure from post-war economic expansion, outdated minting equipment, and lapses in quality control during peak production seasons all played a role in creating conditions ripe for bizarre and valuable mistakes, with collectors and grading services now documenting incredible examples of double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, repunched mint marks, die cracks, die breaks, lamination flaws, and even needle errors that have all been identified among the 1951 wheat penny series, pushing select specimens into the top tier of collectible U.S. coins. And one particularly valuable category includes double die obverse errors, where the details of Lincoln's portrait, the motto, "In God We Trust," the word, "Liberty," or the date, 1951, appear doubled under magnification, a result of a misalignment during the die creation process, when the working hub was impressed more than once out of alignment, leading to these bold and dramatic design duplications that immediately attract serious buyers due to their clarity and rarity. And some of the highest graded examples of these double die 1951 wheat pennies have been snapped up at auction for amounts approaching or exceeding six figures, with many of these buyers driven not only by rarity, but also by condition, since coins graded MS66 or higher with full red color designation, RD, are exceedingly difficult to come by and command astronomical prices due to their pristine state and rarity combined. And another group of valuable 1951 wheat pennies comes from those struck on the wrong planchets, meaning coins that were accidentally struck on metal blanks intended for other denominations or even other countries due to human error or mechanical oversight during minting. So a 1951 penny struck on a silver dime planchet, for instance, would not only weigh less than the standard 3.11 grams, but would also appear silver-colored instead of the standard copper tone and lack a full rim due to size mismatches, with such off-metal errors being exceedingly rare and often fetching five-figure sums when authenticated and presented at major auction houses. And then there are the famous off-center strikes, a visual error where the design is misaligned due to the planchet not being properly centered between the dies, resulting in coins with portions of the design missing and a crescent-shaped blank area visible on one side. And the greater the percentage of the off-center strike, especially above 50% while still showing the date, the more desirable the coin becomes, particularly when the mint mark is visible as well, and high-grade off-center 1951 wheat pennies have been known to pull in tens of thousands of dollars from eager buyers looking to add dramatic visual errors to their collections. And we cannot ignore the repunched mint mark, RPM, varieties that exist from both the Denver and San Francisco mints in 1951, where careful examination reveals that the D or S mint mark was punched more than once in slightly different positions or angles, likely due to manual adjustments made at the time when mint marks were still applied by hand, and these RPMs have long been a favorite among specialists who collect Lincoln cents by die variety and are willing to pay premium prices for strong examples with bold doubling, particularly when found in high grades. And moving further into the obscure but highly sought-after categories, we encounter die cracks and die breaks, which result from fatigue or damage in the dies used to strike the coins, creating raised lines or even blobs of extra metal that follow natural stress points on the coin's design, and these errors, though more common, can become significant when they are large, dramatic, and combined with other errors, especially when given names like CUDs for die breaks that obliterate portions of the design or lettering, which can create truly unique pieces with visual impact and collector interest. And another significant error type that increases the 1951 penny's value dramatically is the clipped planchet error, which happens when the blank metal sheet from which planchets are punched overlaps the edge or another punched hole, resulting in a crescent-shaped clip that is clearly visible and cannot be confused with postmint damage. And these clips, especially when combined with strong strikes and good eye appeal, have become highly collectible and desirable for error enthusiasts, and lamination errors, too, have played a part in boosting the value of certain 1951 pennies, as these occur when impurities or stress in the metal alloy cause the surface layer of the coin to peel or flake, creating odd textures or missing portions of the design that are visually distinct and often dramatic. And the larger and more centered the lamination peel, the higher the desirability, particularly when the coin is otherwise in solid condition, and there have even been unconfirmed reports of possible mule errors involving 1951 pennies, where dies from different coin series were accidentally combined to strike mismatched designs. And though such coins are exceedingly rare and hotly debated within the community, the mere possibility adds a level of intrigue and speculation that can elevate interest and value dramatically. And while these physical errors account for a major portion of the 1951 penny's appeal, provenance and discovery stories also play a huge role in boosting their market price, as coins with a documented chain of custody, such as those discovered in estate collections, buried treasure hoards, or in mint-sealed bags opened decades later, often command a premium due to the freshness and authenticity of the find. And those that have received grading and certification from top-tier services like PCGS or NGC with a high numeric grade and error designation instantly gain trust and marketability, often creating bidding wars among serious collectors. And it's important to remember that most regular 1951 wheat pennies are still worth only face value unless they exhibit these dramatic error traits or exceptional condition. Yet, because of the massive number of coins produced, the potential for rare combinations of errors is surprisingly high, meaning thousands of undiscovered gems could still be lying dormant in collections or bank boxes waiting for someone with a keen eye and the right tools to uncover a $500,000 treasure. And with the growing popularity of error coin collecting, fueled by viral videos, online marketplaces, and expanding grading services, the demand for rare error coins, like the 1951 wheat penny, is only increasing, making now the perfect time to start examining your old coins or rechecking inherited collections, as the chance of discovering an error or anomaly missed by previous generations is more real than ever before, especially with new high-definition microscopes and better educational resources allowing hobbyists to identify errors that once required expert analysis. And the combination of historical interest, artistic flaws, minting science, and market economics all intersect in coins like the 1951 wheat penny. Next, 1951 wheat penny. Now we deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where every small detail can turn pocket change into a life-changing fortune. And today we unravel the astonishing story behind the 1951 wheat penny, a humble coin with a face value of just 1 cent that has stunned collectors and numismatists by reaching a staggering value of over $500,000 at auctions, making headlines and drawing intense attention in the world of coin collecting, not just because of its age but primarily due to the breathtaking variety of mint errors, production anomalies, die issues, and unintentional mistakes that have turned this ordinary penny into one of the most talked about rarities in American numismatic history. And as we dig into the fine details that make this particular coin so special, you'll begin to understand why so many experts believe the 1951 wheat penny could be hiding in plain sight in old drawers, inherited collections, or forgotten rolls of coins, just waiting to change someone's life forever. So what makes the 1951 wheat penny such a big deal, and how could something minted in such vast quantities, nearly 284 million from Philadelphia alone, along with over 136 million from Denver and about 92 million from San Francisco, suddenly be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? Well, it all comes down to the strange, rare, and barely understood world of mint errors, and the unique production environment of the early 1950s U.S. mint operations, where small changes in procedure, pressure from post-war economic expansion, outdated minting equipment, and lapses in quality control during peak production seasons all played a role in creating conditions ripe for bizarre and valuable mistakes, with collectors and grading services now documenting incredible examples of double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, repunched mint marks, die cracks, die breaks, lamination flaws, and even needle errors that have all been identified among the 1951 Wheat Penny series, pushing select specimens into the top tier of collectible U.S. coins. And one particularly valuable category includes double die obverse errors, where the details of Lincoln's portrait, the motto, "In God We Trust," the word, "Liberty," or the date, 1951, appear doubled under magnification, a result of a misalignment during the die creation process, when the working hub was impressed more than once out of alignment, leading to these bold and dramatic design duplications that immediately attract serious buyers due to their clarity and rarity. And some of the highest graded examples of these double die 1951 wheat pennies have been snapped up at auction for amounts approaching or exceeding six figures, with many of these buyers driven not only by rarity, but also by condition, since coins graded MS66 or higher with full red color designation, RD, are exceedingly difficult to come by and command astronomical prices due to their pristine state and rarity combined. And another group of valuable 1951 wheat pennies comes from those struck on the wrong planchets, meaning coins that were accidentally struck on metal blanks intended for other denominations or even other countries due to human error or mechanical oversight during minting. So a 1951 penny struck on a silver dime planchet, for instance, would not only weigh less than the standard 3.11 grams, but would also appear silver-colored instead of the standard copper tone and lack a full rim due to size mismatches, with such off-metal errors being exceedingly rare and often fetching five-figure sums when authenticated and presented at major auction houses. And then there are the famous off-center strikes, a visual error where the design is misaligned due to the planchet not being properly centered between the dies, resulting in coins with portions of the design missing and a crescent-shaped blank area visible on one side. And the greater the percentage of the off-center strike, especially above 50% while still showing the date, the more desirable the coin becomes, particularly when the mint mark is visible as well, and high-grade off-center 1951 wheat pennies have been known to pull in tens of thousands of dollars from eager buyers looking to add dramatic visual errors to their collections. And we cannot ignore the repunched mint mark, RPM, varieties that exist from both the Denver and San Francisco mints in 1951, where careful examination reveals that the D or S mint mark was punched more than once in slightly different positions or angles, likely due to manual adjustments made at the time when mint marks were still applied by hand, and these RPMs have long been a favorite among specialists who collect Lincoln cents by die variety and are willing to pay premium prices for strong examples with bold doubling, particularly when found in high grades. And moving further into the obscure but highly sought-after categories, we encounter die cracks and die breaks, which result from fatigue or damage in the dies used to strike the coins, creating raised lines or even blobs of extra metal that follow natural stress points on the coin's design. And these errors, though more common, can become significant when they are large, dramatic, and combined with other errors, especially when given names like CUDs for die breaks that obliterate portions of the design or lettering, which can create truly unique pieces with visual impact and collector interest. And another significant error type that increases the 1951 penny's value dramatically is the clipped planchet error, which happens when the blank metal sheet from which planchets are punched overlaps the edge or another punched hole, resulting in a crescent-shaped clip that is clearly visible and cannot be confused with postmint damage. And these clips, especially when combined with strong strikes and good eye appeal, have become highly collectible and desirable for error enthusiasts, and lamination errors, too, have played a part in boosting the value of certain 1951 pennies, as these occur when impurities or stress in the metal alloy cause the surface layer of the coin to peel or flake, creating odd textures or missing portions of the design that are visually distinct and often dramatic. And the larger and more centered the lamination peel, the higher the desirability, particularly when the coin is otherwise in solid condition. And there have even been unconfirmed reports of possible mule errors involving 1951 pennies, where dies from different coin series were accidentally combined to strike mismatched designs. And though such coins are exceedingly rare and hotly debated within the community, the mere possibility adds a level of intrigue and speculation that can elevate interest and value dramatically. And while these physical errors account for a major portion of the 1951 penny's appeal, provenance and discovery stories also play a huge role in boosting their market price, as coins with a documented chain of custody, such as those discovered in estate collections, buried treasure hoards, or in mint-sealed bags opened decades later, often command a premium due to the freshness and authenticity of the find. And those that have received grading and certification from top-tier services like PCGS or NGC with a high numeric grade and error designation instantly gain trust and marketability, often creating bidding wars among serious collectors. And it's important to remember that most regular 1951 wheat pennies are still worth only face value unless they exhibit these dramatic error traits or exceptional condition. Yet, because of the massive number of coins produced, the potential for rare combinations of errors is surprisingly high, meaning thousands of undiscovered gems could still be lying dormant in collections or bank boxes waiting for someone with a keen eye and the right tools to uncover a $500,000 treasure. And with the growing popularity of error coin collecting, fueled by viral videos, online marketplaces, and expanding grading services, the demand for rare error coins, like the 1951 wheat penny, is only increasing, making now the perfect time to start examining your old coins or rechecking inherited collections, as the chance of discovering an error or anomaly missed by previous generations is more real than ever before, especially with new high-definition microscopes and better educational resources allowing hobbyists to identify errors that once required expert analysis. And the combination of historical interest, artistic flaws, minting science, and market economics all intersect in coins like the 1951 wheat penny. Next, 1944 wheat penny. Today, we're going to take a deep and electrifying journey into the incredible story of the 1944 wheat penny that is turning heads, breaking records, and fetching up to $1.1 million at high-end coin auctions. A single coin that once held the humble value of 1 cent but now stands tall as a legend of minting errors, wartime transitions, and historical quirks that have made it one of the most sought-after treasures in numismatics history. So sit tight and stay tuned, because this one isn't just about money. It's about mystery, metal, and the monumental mistakes that gave rise to one of the most shocking success stories in American coin collecting, as we unravel the origins and secret lives of the 1944 wheat penny, minted during the final years of World War II, a time when the U.S. Mint was under incredible pressure to produce coinage for a bustling wartime economy, and decisions made under duress gave rise to some of the most fascinating minting anomalies, especially in coins like the 1944 wheat penny, which today is worth more than $1 million in some extraordinary conditions and under the right combination of errors and rarity. But before we get to the $1 million tag, let's go back to the beginning and trace the journey of this coin, which on the surface may appear as any other wheat penny, but underneath hides a tale of steel, copper, dyes, alloys, planchets, and unexpected errors that together culminate in astronomical value. And it begins with the dramatic shift that occurred just a year earlier, in 1943, when the U.S. Mint famously struck pennies using zinc-coated steel instead of the traditional copper due to wartime copper shortages. These 1943 steel cents are already famous and well known among collectors. But when copper became available again in 1944, the Mint resumed production of copper pennies, or so it thought, because this is where one of the most intriguing minting accidents took place. A few leftover steel planchets from 1943 somehow got caught in the minting machinery and were accidentally struck with the 1944 wheat penny dies, resulting in one of the rarest and most valuable mint errors in existence. The 1944 steel penny, a coin that should never have existed, yet does, and when discovered, caused a stir in the coin collecting community unlike anything seen before. And that's just one of the many paths this story takes. Because beyond the steel composition errors, the 1944 wheat penny is also known for its variety of double die errors, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, lamination errors, die cracks, and more, each of which can significantly increase the value of the coin, and collectors around the world are always on the lookout for those magical combinations. The 1944D or 1944S struck on steel planchets, the 1944 coins with double dies where you can see clear doubling in the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the date itself, creating a dramatic and visible deformation that collectors prize. And then there are the mintmark placement anomalies where the D or S mintmark is repunched or misplaced due to misaligned dies, giving rise to RPMs or repunched mint marks, which are highly sought after. And then there are coins struck on foreign planchets accidentally fed into the U.S. Mint's coin presses, like the rumored 1944 wheat penny struck on a silver planchet or on planchets meant for Belgian 2-franc pieces, or even coins with improper alloy mixes that make them appear reddish, pinkish, or even grayish in tone. And such striking visual differences always catch the eyes of collectors and auctioneers alike, especially when verified by trusted grading agencies like PCGS or NGC, and these certified examples often fetch thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars, and sometimes even cross the $1 million mark when the coin in question possesses multiple rare attributes, such as being struck on a steel planchet, showing clear double die features, and maintaining excellent mint state conditions with little to no circulation wear. And what makes these 1944 wheat pennies even more intriguing is the fact that these error coins were created not as part of a special edition or experimental run, but purely by accident, by a combination of oversight, leftover materials, and mechanical imprecision. And this randomness adds to their mystique and value, because the very nature of these coins makes them so difficult to find and replicate, and their accidental origin story is one that fascinates both new and seasoned collectors. And consider this: while millions of normal 1944 wheat pennies were produced at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, numbering in the billions across all three locations, only a tiny handful of these steel error coins have ever been verified, fewer than 30 known examples, making them among the rarest and most mysterious errors in all of American coinage history. And then you also have examples of the 1944 wheat penny that display extraordinary strike-through errors, where foreign objects like cloth, wire, or even grease got between the die and the planchet during minting, leaving behind unique impressions or surface disruptions, each one effectively making the coin one of a kind. And while these might not reach $1 million levels alone, they dramatically increase the coin's intrigue and potential value, especially when paired with other anomalies or rare metallic compositions, and some coins were even found struck on thin or thick planchets, or planchets that were underweight or overweight compared to standard copper alloy specifications, prompting further investigation into the batch and minting conditions. And over the years, collectors who stumbled upon these rare gems have realized extraordinary profits, especially those who preserved their coins in high quality or had them professionally graded and slabbed early on, with one of the most famous examples being a 1944 steel penny sold in auction for over $1 million, specifically because it was in near-perfect condition and was authenticated as a legitimate mint error by top-tier grading services, and its story caught fire across collector forums, news outlets, and even casual hobbyist groups, inspiring thousands to go hunting through old penny jars, inherited collections, estate sale boxes, and forgotten drawers in hopes of finding the next $1 million penny hiding in plain sight. And in this fevered treasure hunt, people began noticing even more varieties of the 1944 wheat penny with unusual characteristics, missing mint marks, off-metal strikes, brockage errors where one side is incus from another coin due to a malfunction during the strike, and even coins showing rotated dies where the reverse side does not align correctly with the obverse. And each of these conditions, when verified and rare enough, can skyrocket the value of the coin, especially when featured in high-profile numismatic auctions. And as coin grading technology improves and more examples are certified, the competition to own one of these error coins only intensifies, with top collectors, museums, and wealthy investors willing to pay a premium for coins that combine rarity, story, historical relevance, and pristine condition. And let's not forget the speculative excitement around the potential for undiscovered 1944 penny errors still waiting to be found, especially in old family coin boxes or in unsearched rolls of wheat pennies available in estate collections or coin shops. And the number of known 1944 steel pennies could very well rise as more collectors learn what to look for. Does the coin stick to a magnet? Is it lighter than a standard copper penny? Does it exhibit unusual toning or luster? Does the mint mark appear doubled, repunched, or missing altogether? Are the devices, design elements, crisp or unusually placed? All of these are signs that the coin in hand could be something far more special than its face value would ever suggest. And this is what makes the 1944 wheat penny not just a piece of copper, but a piece of American history, a remnant of a time when the world was at war and the U.S. Mint was trying to keep up with demand, a time when errors were inevitable and sometimes magical, creating treasures that would baffle and thrill collectors 80 years later. And in the ever-evolving world of numismatics, these stories continue to develop, values continue to climb, and demand continues to grow. So if you've got a 1944 penny, especially one that seems off in some way, odd color, missing mint mark, double images, or even magnetic response, get it checked, get it graded, and get it protected. Next, 1958 D wheat penny. Numismatic mysteries turn into treasure tales, and coins you once ignored in pocket change may just hold the power to change your life forever. So buckle up and get ready for an extraordinary ride through the rarest, most surprising, and shockingly valuable United States pennies ever minted, because today we're diving into a coin that has defied expectations and captured the attention of collectors, investors, historians, and error coin enthusiasts across the globe. The 1958 D Lincoln wheat penny. A coin that at first glance may appear as an ordinary remnant of American history, but in truth hides an array of minting mistakes, die errors, striking anomalies, and unintentional peculiarities, so significant that it has fetched values reaching as high as $1 million at major coin auctions, creating waves in the numismatic community and leaving collectors scrambling through old jars, boxes, estate sales, and dusty collections hoping to stumble upon their own piece of this lucrative mystery. and today we're going to dissect the true reasons why this specific coin has gained such phenomenal worth, how rare and unusual errors like double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, die breaks, planchet flaws, and misalignments contribute to its sky-high value, and why the 1958 D-Wheat penny remains an epic focal point for big money in the realm of coin collecting. So get ready as we peel back the layers of history, mistake by mistake, anomaly by anomaly, from its Denver mint origin to the meticulous differences that separate a regular penny from a fortune-worthy one, beginning with the fact that the 1958 D-Wheat penny was struck during a transitional period in U.S. minting history just before the wheat reverse design was replaced in 1959 with the Lincoln Memorial reverse, making 1958 the final year of the classic wheat ears on the back. And that sentimental design connection alone makes the coin a popular target among collectors. But the big money and jaw-dropping price tags come from the shocking array of minting mistakes that managed to slip past quality control and made their way into circulation or were stored away unknowingly for decades by Americans who had no idea they were holding a 6- or 7-figure artifact in their change jars, with the most talked about and prized variation being the elusive 1958 D double die obverse penny, a coin that shows striking evidence of doubling in the inscriptions. "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1958, where every letter and digit can appear shadowed or ghosted as a result of a misalignment between the working die and the master hub during the minting process. And while the Philadelphia minted 1958 double die penny has long been celebrated among numismatists, with only a few known to exist, the Denver minted double die obverse version is virtually unknown and is so rare that only a few certified specimens have ever been seen, meaning if you are one of the incredibly lucky people to own this variant, you could very well be holding $1 million mistake in your hand, especially if the coin maintains high-grade quality as certified by top-tier coin grading services like PCGS or NGC. And grading plays a pivotal role here because a coin with even the most dramatic errors can lose a chunk of its value if it's been cleaned, scratched, corroded, or handled improperly, which is why high-grade uncirculated versions with sharp luster and minimal wear are so sought after by deep-pocketed collectors. And beyond the doubling error, the 1958 D-Wheat penny is known for a variety of other mistake types that send coin enthusiasts into investigative overdrive, such as the famous repunched mint mark error, where the D for Denver appears more than once due to the die being struck in slightly differing positions during the mint mark punching process, before automated mint mark placements began in later years. And this kind of error can vary in extremity from subtle shadowing of the D to clearly visible overlapping letters, making it a favorite among specialists who categorize and label RPM, repunched mint mark, varieties into subtypes like RPM 001, RPM 002, and beyond, each commanding different market values based on rarity and visibility. And then there are the off-center strike errors, where the penny design appears shifted away from the coin center, leaving blank or flattened crescent-like sections around the rim, and depending on the percentage of off-center strike, especially if the date remains visible, these coins can fetch anywhere from hundreds to thousands of dollars, especially when combined with other anomalies such as die cracks, lamination errors, or improper alloy mixtures that produce toned or off-color planchets. And planchet flaws themselves can be a gold mine of value when they involve clipped planchets, where a piece of the metal blank is missing due to an error during the punching process, or wrong planchet errors where a penny design is accidentally struck on a blank intended for a dime or foreign coin, resulting in a coin with the wrong weight, composition, or even color, which sends collectors into bidding frenzies. And then there's the legendary BIE error, named for the die break that occurs between the letters B and E in Liberty, forming what looks like an I, and hence the name BIE, which, while not typically worth thousands on its own, when found on a high-grade 1958 D penny can contribute to an increased value. And collector appeal, and die breaks and cuds. Those raised, blob-like areas on the coin surface due to cracks in the die are another gold mine for seekers of mint mistakes, especially when the cut is large and dramatic, indicating significant deterioration of minting equipment that went uncorrected long enough for coins to be produced with highly noticeable deformities. And let's not forget about die clash errors where opposing dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving behind ghostly outlines of reverse design elements on the obverse side and vice versa. And while not as common for the 1958D as other years, a confirmed die clash specimen will absolutely elevate a coin's desirability and auction price. And all these errors combined with the sheer historical context of the 1958D penny being part of the final wheat design year mean that the coin's allure stretches far beyond the numerical date on its face. It's a symbol of minting evolution, human oversight, mechanical limitation, and post-war American coinage culture. And when you add the thrill of possibly uncovering one of these rare and extraordinary errors in your personal collection, bank rolls, flea market finds, or inherited family jars, the emotional and financial value becomes incomparable, which is exactly what happened with certain verified coins that stunned the numismatic world by hammering it over $1 million due to a perfect storm of mint error, exceptional condition, and collector demand. And as more collectors enter the hobby, especially through digital platforms and online marketplaces, the demand for ultra-rare variants of popular coins like the 1958D wheat penny is skyrocketing, fueling higher price realizations and wider awareness about what makes certain coins so valuable. And while the average circulated 1958D wheat penny might only be worth a few cents to a few dollars depending on grade, the moment an extraordinary error is confirmed, particularly one previously undocumented or in pristine condition, the potential value increases exponentially, and that's why education, attention to detail, and professional grading are critical steps in unlocking the true worth of a coin, because every time a new high-grade, high-error example hits the market, it can redefine the benchmarks of rarity and price, which is why stories continue to surface of life-changing discoveries in the most unexpected places, like a $1 million 1958D penny found in an old book, a forgotten sock drawer, or an estate hoard, reminding us that hidden fortune could be closer than we think, sitting quietly in a jar or under dust, waiting for eyes sharp enough to recognize what millions may have overlooked. And whether you're an experienced numismatist or a curious beginner, the 1958D wheat penny remains a thrilling and accessible treasure hunt, a case study in how imperfection can bring perfect fortune, and an invitation to inspect your change a little closer, look between the details, and maybe one day uncover your own $1 million coin. So if this exploration into the world of mint errors and high-value pennies opened your eyes to the hidden gems of American coinage. Last 1958D wheat penny. In today's incredible deep dive, we're unraveling the unbelievable story of the 1958D wheat penny that has stunned collectors and auction houses alike by reaching an astonishing price tag of $100,000 due to its hidden and remarkable errors, rare minting anomalies, and mysterious features that have made it a prized possession among numismatists and coin enthusiasts across the world. And while most people might casually overlook a 1958D penny as just another piece of outdated currency, the truth is that within the batch of Denver-minted 1958 wheat cents lies a world of possibilities that elevate this humble coin into a numismatic legend. Because when we start to look at the intricate details of how this penny was created, the conditions at the minting facility, the subtle yet impactful deviations from standard production protocols, and the visual anomalies detectable only by the most observant eyes, we begin to understand how an ordinary coin transforms into an extraordinary and highly valuable collector's item. And it all starts with understanding the context of the 1958D wheat penny's creation, which was during the final year of the wheat cent design before transitioning to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959, making 1958 the last hurrah for the iconic wheat ears that graced the reverse of the Lincoln cent since 1909. And while Philadelphia struck a substantial number of wheat pennies that year, the Denver Mint also played a crucial role, striking hundreds of millions of these coins. But within that vast production came a tiny handful of coins that emerged with peculiarities so fascinating that they captured the attention of experts, collectors, and investors alike, with some of these rare specimens being mistruck, double-die varieties, or containing odd planchet compositions and dramatic off-center strikes. And this is where things begin to get truly exciting. Because while many might assume that only pennies with dramatic doubling or bizarre designs are valuable, the 1958 D wheat penny proves that even the smallest and most nuanced errors can fetch six-figure sums when combined with historical significance, scarcity, visual appeal, and strong provenance. And in the case of one particularly noteworthy 1958 D wheat cent that sold for around $100,000, the coin exhibited a unique double-die obverse error, though extremely rare for Denver issues, since most 1958 doubling is attributed to the Philadelphia Mint. And what made this coin so exceptional is that it bore a doubling pattern that wasn't listed in mainstream error guides, which meant it had essentially gone under the radar until careful examination revealed the telltale signs of hub doubling on the date and Liberty inscription, along with minor distortion on the "I in God We Trust" motto. And it's this kind of anomaly that instantly changes a coin's status from common to coveted. And while some skeptics might argue that doubling must be dramatic and obvious to command high prices, the truth in this case is that the rarity of a Denver minted double die in 1958 was almost unheard of, and this scarcity factor alone significantly boosted its value, as no major listings previously documented this exact error from the Denver Mint, and once authenticated and graded by a top-tier service like PCGS or NGC. The penny was recognized for its extreme rarity and immaculate preservation, especially since it was struck in nearly flawless condition, with sharp details, full wheat stalks, and strong luster, traits that elevated it to the upper echelon of mint state quality. And the magic of such coins lies not just in their physical attributes, but also in the stories they tell, because during the 1950s, minting technology and quality control were improving but not yet perfect, and the human element still played a significant role in die creation and preparation, and occasionally, a misalignment during hubbing or a failure to catch a flawed die could result in a small batch of coins escaping into circulation with significant minting anomalies. And in the case of this 1958 D wheat cent, numismatists speculate that a single working die may have been accidentally hubbed twice out of alignment, creating a true double die that slipped through unnoticed due to Denver's typically tighter error control compared to Philadelphia. And once this coin surfaced and was recognized for what it was, its reputation skyrocketed. But the double die wasn't the only factor contributing to its extraordinary value, because when paired with its full red mint luster, uncirculated condition, and certified grade near MS67 or higher, its eye appeal drew strong demand from elite collectors seeking to complete high-grade sets or acquire unique anomalies. And furthermore, additional research revealed that this coin may have been part of a limited die run that quickly wore down and was replaced, meaning very few examples, perhaps only one, survived with this precise doubling pattern, adding the crucial factor of extreme rarity to the mix. And as collectors know, rarity, desirability, condition, and historical context form the cornerstone of a coin's market value, and the 1958 D wheat penny that reached $100,000 checks all those boxes with flying colors. And let's not forget the influence of provenance, because when a rare coin has been part of a well-known collection or discovered under interesting circumstances, such as a coin roll hunt, estate sale, or hoard, the story behind its discovery can add intangible value and mystique. prompting enthusiastic bidding wars among collectors, and in this case, the penny was reportedly found in an old coin jar belonging to a World War II veteran, further adding a human narrative that resonated with buyers. But even beyond this singular example, there are numerous other ways the 1958 D wheat penny becomes valuable, from repunchment marks, where the D appears to have been stamped more than once, to die clashes, where ghostly outlines of the Lincoln portrait or wheat stalks appear in unintended places due to dies striking each other without a planchet in between, and coins with these errors, when combined with full red color and high mint state grades, can easily reach values in the thousands or tens of thousands, and sometimes, planchet errors such as improper alloy mixtures result in pennies that appear off-colored, like having a silvery or golden tone rather than the standard coppery red, and such. Coins, when authenticated, are also worth a significant premium, especially if they've escaped circulation and retain sharp strike details and luster. And then, there's the intrigue surrounding transitional planchets, and while 1958 D officially ended the wheat reverse design, any coin found bearing a 1958 D date and struck on a blank intended for 1959 or later, such as a planchet used for memorial cents or foreign coins, would be an instant sensation and could command astronomical prices at auction, and this fuels the speculation and excitement among collectors who search for unreported anomalies in this final year of wheat cent production. And let's not forget about off-center strikes, broad strikes, or coins struck through grease or other foreign materials that cause missing details or unusual textures, because these errors, when extreme, dramatic, or aesthetically intriguing, also significantly boost the value of 1958 D pennies, especially when they are accompanied by original mint red coloration and free from post-mint damage. And the psychology of coin collecting plays a role too, because the allure of owning something few others possess drives passionate collectors to spend massive sums, and the 1958 D wheat penny, being the end of an era, serves as a nostalgic anchor to the original Lincoln wheat design, while also functioning as a time capsule from the late 1950s, an era when America stood on the brink of immense social and technological change. And so the coin is not just metal, it's history, it's mystery, and it's a magnet for monetary potential. And in an age where digital assets dominate the investment conversation, physical coins like the 1958 D wheat penny offer tangible value that can be passed down through generations, adding layers of meaning and financial security. And in the world of numismatics, knowledge is power, which is why studying die varieties, minting procedures, auction histories, and population reports is crucial to understanding how such a coin can cross the $100,000 threshold. And this is exactly why we highlight these incredible stories.